scuffed to all hell. I have finally started using OBS, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing there. Anyways, we're back. More Katawa Shoujo. I had the absolute urge to just keep playing this. I love it. Get my walkthrough open up in the background. Hopefully the stream sounds good. Hopefully everything sounds good. Hopefully using OBS is smooth. I was considering streaming this on YouTube, but then I realized it would cost me $150 a year. So absolutely the hell not with that. Let's get this walkthrough open and then get right back into the game. Tune down the game volume a little bit. Hopefully my audio is good. Hopefully everything is working good. Let's go. Whoops. We got our 5, including our current, or our 6 right now, and our current route. Let's go. The sound of an alarm pulls me out of a fitful slumber and into the unpleasant state of wakefulness. I linger under the blanket for a few minutes, gathering energy to rise up while making excuses as for why I haven't already. Honestly, I wouldn't mind staying here for all day. School is surprisingly exhausting. After a long pause, and the culture shock still has not faded. Still, despite getting an impression that skipping class is easy here, I don't think they're going to let me get away that easily. And the nurse is bound to keep breathing down my neck with the talk of exercising as well. So, eventually, I do rise up, swallow the morning medications, and put on my old soccer clothing. Thanks to my condition, I was exempted from taking part in gym classes at Yamaku, so I didn't get issued with a gym outfit. I ordered some to cover such a contingency, but my old soccer clothes is kind of nostalgic. I can't use them for that anymore, so maybe they can get a new life this way. A bit like me. After all, if I'm going to start taking care of myself, I can't afford to slack around. I'll start from the basics. Basics which include keeping the rest of my body in shape, along with what little I can do to strengthen my heart. Maybe then I can go back to something approaching a normal life, or at least something where I'm less likely to fall over dead at any minute. I'm surprised to discover that I'm not the only one present at the track. Not just that, but it's a face I've seen before. The prosthetic-legged girl who bowled me over in the hallway yesterday is running on the track lithely, like a half-mechanical gazelle. What was her name again? It was a short one, but I can't remember. She seems to be running laps at a somewhat easy lop, her prosthetic legs clacking rhythmically on the hard track surface. I wonder what reason she has for running this early in the morning. Maybe it's something akin to mine, and the nurse is oppressing the poor girl to jog just like he is oppressing me. I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for my health and his prompting me to do so. And even with things being like they are, it's only because I wanted to get out of this way early. Oh, God. The fact that I would be less likely to encounter someone who would witness my pitiful attempts to get in shape was merely a happy accident. I'd leave, but it seems that my former assailant noticed me on her last lap. She waves at me cheerfully and jogs over. Good morning. Your name is Hiseo, right? She grins, seemingly pleased that she'd remembered my name. You may not remember me. Emmy, I knocked you over in the hall yesterday? How could I forget such a blunt introduction? Emmy has the decency to look vaguely apologetic for a moment before giggling. Yeah, sorry about that. Again. Well, so long as you don't make a habit of it, I suppose I'll be fine. Great! I'm not sure she realized I was joking. So, the spy consultant the nurse was talking about, is that actually you? That's right. Oh. I was expecting someone from the nursing staff, to be honest. What, are you saying I don't look like I could be a spy? No, this is more like a relief. I was afraid he would have someone to watch my every move. Unless you were here to do exactly that. No, I'm here for my own reasons. The nurse just asked me if I had seen a messy-haired transfer student who looks like he's kind of lost around the track. So why are you down here? Emmy strikes a dramatic pose. Training. For what? Track. Ah, I see. You're on the track team. Emmy nods enthusiastically. Yep, I'm one of the better runners too. And modest about it too. Hey, you should join up. It's good exercise, you know. I think that much activity is probably out of the question for me. Nah, I'm not even sure that I really like running all that much. Plus, I'm just not into organized sports, you know. It's true, I never even really got that much into soccer. I mean, I'd run around with my friends and all, but that was really the only reason I ever played. It wasn't for the glory to be found in the field, that's for sure. Emmy seems to understand my meaning. I see. Not that into the whole organization thing. But now that you're here, I guess we're gonna run together, huh? Sure, I guess. Emmy seems pleased. Are you gonna warm up? Real men don't warm up. Oh no, you should always warm up. Bad, he said. She scolds me enthusiastically, but then smiles and leans closer. I hate warming up too. She laughs suddenly. Heck, I don't even have to stretch my legs. As if to confirm her statement, she bounces up and down a couple times, giving a passing impression of standing on a pair of springs. Her leg blades seem to be quite elastic. Let's go! So we both take off around the track and can immediately see that she wasn't lying about being good at running. Emmy moves fluidly, throwing herself into the run with a sort of wild abandon. I find myself concentrating more on running properly. Hands spread, right? And something about hitting on the balls of your feet rather than the heels? I try to match my stride to Emmy's, but it's pretty difficult. Apparently, I'm not very good at it. Maybe Emmy could help me with that sometime. I'm really not feeling up to more than a couple laps a day and slow to a walk pretty quickly. Emmy keeps running and doesn't seem to notice I've stopped until she passes me a second time. She quickly skids to a halt, breathing steadily in contrast to my own somewhat gasping demeanor. Finished already? I hang my head ruefully. Yeah, I'm not in very good shape right now. Emmy nods and then grins at me again. She seems to do a lot of smiling. Well, the important thing is you started, right? Next time you just have to try hold out longer, and then longer, and longer, and eventually you'll be great. I'll keep that in mind. But I think right now I'm going to go get ready for class. Shouldn't you? Emmy shrugs unconcernedly. No, I've got plenty of time. I noticed that she's not wearing a watch. Are you sure? Another careless shrug. Not really, but I've got to finish my routine. See you later, Hiseo. Yeah, see ya. I'm not sure whether this morning's experiment was a success or a failure, but I'll admit that I do feel slightly good about getting out there this morning. And like Emmy said, I just need to keep at it in order to get better, right? Practice makes perfect or something like that. It's nice at least to feel like I've taken some semblance of control over my own health. I'll have to try to keep this up. I head back to the dorms to wash and change to my uniform, trying to resist the urge to take a really long and hot shower. I'm tired from all the running, so I just want to unwind, but I don't want to break my slowly building routine of getting to school before the morning rush. After taking a long shower anyway, I dry myself off and get out of the stall to put on my clothes. Oh god. Out of nowhere, a shadow appears within the mist, looming and radiating malicious intent. It bursts through the fog. Stop! What are you doing here? What the hell? You scared me. What's your problem? I should be asking you that. I've been looking for you all over the place, man. What do you mean all over the place? I want to ask if he's been looking for me like that, stark naked, but holding my tongue. I finally realize I'm still naked too, and quickly hold up my shirt in front of me, but Kenji doesn't seem to notice anything. His glasses are fogged off, but then why doesn't he wipe them off? Is his vision so bad it's like he's perpetually seeing through fog? You know, your room, yeah, that's it. Hey, I mean, I still have to get up though. Whatever, it's not that... Can I borrow some money? He puts on an innocent face and looks away, trying very hard to look very casual. It doesn't work, he's as transparent as his window pane size glasses. Talking neutrally like this, wearing nothing, feels awkward. Actually, somehow it's even more awkward to be making in front of a man, in front of someone who can't... Actually, somehow it's even more awkward to be naked in front of someone when they can't even see me being naked, to say nothing of the fact that he's naked. I try to brush the feeling off with little success. Money? Sure. Awesome. Wait, why do you need it? Can't you just give it to me because I had the goodwill not to run through your pockets when you were in the shower? I could have, but I exercised restraint. In the end, isn't it the thought that counts? Come on, be a pal. This makes no sense. If it's the thought that counts, I should withhold payment, since his thoughts were so clearly impure and his intentions are probably even more sinister, as he can't tell me what they are. I say as much to him. I'm offended, man, but if that is your game, then fine. I guess I have no choice. I want to order a pizza, and I already have most of the cost of the pizza. I need your help for the rest. I get some of that pizza too, right? No. Are you serious? Yeah, I would give you some, but you have class. You don't have time to eat pizza. What about you? I'm not going to class. I have to wait for the pizza and pay the guy, and then eat it. It's not easy. You have to obtain the pizza still. And if you don't, everyone will see you, and the pizza, and they will ask for a slice. It's a hard world out there. Everyone wants a piece. Then you're left pizzaless in an unforgiving world. It's happened before. That's how I know. Every day, I plan my vengeance, so that when the people who wronged me order a pizza, I will be there. Ever vigilant. Kenji strikes a dramatic pose, completely without irony. But yeah, I only need like 400 yen. Please? You're my only hope. I can't go outside and buy my own pizza. It's too far. I try not to go out unless it's absolutely necessary. Let me tell you what happened the last time I went out without carefully planning out in advance. I was outside. I can't remember what I was doing. Something. Standing? Maybe wondering how I got there. And then, out of nowhere, it happened. Like a flash of lightning. Splitting the sky, like how you split a sandwich into 2 equal pieces to make it more manageable to hold and eat. A bird crapped on my head. It was the second most shocking moment of my life. What was the first? He ignores me and keeps going. I want to grab him and shake him. Is he just trying to keep momentum? I'll go with that, even if it's more likely he just didn't hear me. It's like the openings to some kind of anime show. You know how there's always a part where the main dude is fighting his rival, and they fly at each other and clash swords, and there's a big dramatic colored auras and zoom. It was like that, but with poo. Hi, Josh at DX Racer. Okay. So yeah, I need some money. Please, don't leave me hanging. I only need like 1,000 yen. I thought it was 400. Okay. What? I'll pay you back, I swear. You better. That's what it means to borrow stuff. I don't know when I'll be able to pay you back. You have 1 week. DX Racer, thank you. Oh, is it quiet? Thank you. Is it really? It doesn't... Alright, it's all the way turned up. Hopefully that's better. Kenji winces and makes a noise like a dying car. A dying cow, a particularly disturbing fact given that his baton is conducting freely. You're not supposed to be so tight-assed about money between brothers in arms. Thank you for the follow, Chris. Ma. Men have it bad enough as it is. Do you know that male porn stars only make about half of what female porn stars make? That doesn't mean anything unless you're a porn star. So maybe I am a porn star, on the side, struggling to make ends meet as I fight the feminist agenda, and you can't even spot me your crumbs, you bastard? Nobody understands. Nobody. Wouldn't feminists be against pornography in the first place? This feminist agenda stuff again? This stuff is important. I can see you don't give a shit, but this is serious here. Feminists are a dangerous enemy, make no mistake. You take them lightly and you wake up in the morning with a knife in your back. Bam! Out of nowhere. How do you wake up in the morning if someone stabbed you in your sleep? Women are terrible at stabbing. I thought you just said don't take them lightly. Well, I mean don't take them lightly for the big things. Individually, they're not a threat, but if there was some kind of war, like a big war with men on one side and feminist forces on the other side, it would be pretty ugly. And that day will come when the feminists come out of their central top secret worldwide feminist headquarters and say, "It's on now, motherfuckers." You're being ridiculous. There's no big worldwide feminist headquarters building. Where would they even hide that? I mean, it'd have to be massive. You couldn't hide that on Earth. Someone would notice a big fortress with women only in it. Who said it was on Earth? I turn away from Kenji and start practicing frowning faces in a mirror so that I can figure out what kind of frown will best express my emotions. He can't see me from that distance anyway. Which, unfortunately, means that he just keeps on ranting without any regard to sense or sensibility. Yeah, there is a war going on. A war not many know about, but it's a great one that will one day boil over and encompass all of the known world. Then we will have to pick sides. We will have to make a stand. In fact, it's happening right now. Imagine it, a bloody battlefield, a vicious conflict without end. I almost gave up when I thought this cause was silly, when I grew tired of the bleakness of our fight, when I mistook the time the power went out for a feminist raid and thought the end was near. But then I realized if I gave up, it would all be over, and I was like, whoa. And I knew I had to get serious, because I am the last sane man in an insane world. It's about duty. Must be a pretty crappy movement if it all hinges on one naked guy ranting in a bathroom at another naked guy. So can I have the money? He's blocking the way out. It's getting cold because I'm still naked and I want to go to class, so I agree to spot him the money. Awesome, thanks dude. We should go bowling later on. Bowling? Yeah, it's the ultimate sport. There are almost no women bowlers either, making it also the manliest sport. Should I wear my pink bowling shirt with matching shoes or the pastel green with flower accents? There are bowling clothes? Maybe. Anyway, you'd better pay me back. I can pay you back in stuff, right? I don't have the time to ask him to elaborate on what that means. I don't know. I have to get to class. You're kind of in the way. Oh, sorry, yeah, I don't want to hold you up, and I have some stuff to do myself. The time has come. The time for what? I just like saying that. Okay, now the time has really come. For what? I have to use the bathroom. Get out of it. I was just going to. What does that mean? It's a big bathroom. So? I have to be alone or I can't go. The pressure. Okay, what if someone else comes in? I'll think of something. I give him my practice frown, and it looks kind of silly reflected in his glasses. He either doesn't notice or doesn't see anyway. So I get dressed and run back to my room, feeling as though an eternity has passed since I woke up. That is time I will never get back. I'll get him for this somehow. But right now, I have to get to class. I'm the first person in class today, although I think I'm a little too early. Then again, sitting alone here for 20 minutes sure beats having to suffer that time with Kenji. The combination of fatigue, frustration, and boredom starts making me feel very tired. I black out for a second, waking up when my head hits the surface of my desk. Rubbing my forehead, I realize this is as good a reason as I need to stay up for now and stop coming to class so early later. Eventually, I hear a tapping noise outside in the hallway, and Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. She's not in this class, so she must have some other business. Maybe she's looking for Hanako. Lily stops at the door, looking hesitant as if she was a vampire who can't come in unless invited. I consider doing so because she looks rather lonesome standing there. She steps in on her own accord, though, and after straightening her skirt and shirt collar as if it was of importance to look prim when entering our classroom. Excuse me. She calls into the quiet classroom with a probing, delicate voice. I realize the silence might unnerve her because of her blindness, so I break it. Good morning, Lily. Hiseo? Good morning. I didn't hear you come in. I wonder if she thinks it's suspicious I didn't say anything to her before. It's likely. If I were to tell too big a lie now, it would sink me. Well, I was already here, just asleep until now. Oh, have you seen Hanako today, by any chance? No, she seems to come in only just before the bell rings. Or after that. Do you want me to tell her something for you? No, it's fine. It's strange, but I think we're the only two people in the school right now. I didn't hear anyone else on my way here. shouldn't have gotten up so early today, I guess. You're chastising yourself for doing something that other people should? Punctuality's a good thing. I think so, anyway. It's a very busy morning today. The festival is coming up soon, and today is the deadline for event registration, budget reports, and any other official paperwork. It could be that everyone is trying to complete the necessary forms at the last minute. Maybe that is why it's so quiet today. Hi! Misha pops into the room with Shizune as if on cue, shouting with a loudness that makes Lily visibly flinch. Hi, Hichan. Hi. Look, it's the class representative. Hello. Lily smiles, probably amused by Misha or Shizune's use of the word look. Good morning. Of course, you're not the representative of the class, right? Right? I'm not. Lily seems a little more guarded in her answers to Shizune than she was with me the other day. I guess they really don't get along at all. Then I realized that Lily might actually not know Shizune is present, and she's trying to detect whether or not she is, to know who she is talking to. For all she knows, she's talking to Misha, but knowing that she and Shizune are practically inseparable, she might expect Shizune being the one that actually talks. Damn, how complicated. I decided to help Lily out, for my own peace of mind more than anything else. You're here early, Shizune. You were here even earlier than us. Misha puffs out her cheeks angrily. Why is she getting angry? Does she feel emotions on Shizune's behalf too? It's not that weird though, that Shizune didn't like my little comment. It's true, I was here earlier than them, so me saying something like that could definitely be misinterpreted as anything. Especially to Shizune, who doesn't have the benefit of hearing tone to gauge intent. Before I can start weighing whether or not I should apologize, Shizune has already moved on. Class rep, it's a good thing you're here. We have to talk. The festival's coming in 3 days, right? Every other class has already handed in their projected budget reports for the events. Even the first years. Except you. Wow. There is still time to hand it in, isn't there? Today. The deadline is today. You're certainly taking your time, aren't you? If I had it my way, I'd have all the necessary paperwork days ago. But someone had to say the deadline. Please extend it. Yes, that was me. Planning something on this scale is not a small task, and a week is too small a time frame to expect a whole class to work out such a complex issue completely. Do you want to know what's harder than distributing the funds for one class event? Handling the same matter for every class in the school, and then some. The one who does that is me. Misha puts her hands on her hips and stands up straight. Wow, she really is getting into the role. Lily doesn't look like she's very amused, though. Hey, Shizune, aren't you being a little too hard? There's still a whole day left. Please, Hisao, it's alright. Lily seems happy I'm taking her side, but a bit conflicted that I might not think she can take care of herself. If this is about the budget, then I'm disappointed you think I have forgotten about it. I understand how important it is. Then, can I have it, please? Shizune, she might not have it on her at this exact second. It's not here right now. I asked 2 students to take care of it for me. Students from my class. She emphasized the last sentence much to my surprise. She knows about Shizune and Misha's efforts to rope me into the student council. I guessed word must have gotten around, so now she's using me as ammo against Shizune. This just gets better and better. It was your responsibility. A budget report isn't something you should just be delegating away. As a class rep, it's your job to be on top of things. This kind of disregard for proper procedure is really just terrible. They completed it, being capable of doing so, but the students have been sick recently, so they could not come to school and give it back to me. If you want, I will apologize on their behalf for getting sick. Okay. Although Misha misses Lily's little jab entirely, Shizune doesn't, and she seems torn between being offended by Lily's daring and jumping for joy at the prospect of a challenge. Lily, don't they live here at the school? That's a 5-minute walk, you know. What could they possibly have that prevents them from taking 5 minutes out of their busy lives to drop off something that will affect the enjoyment of their entire class? Lily opens her mouth to say something, but Shizune closes the gap between them and starts signing furiously, waving her hands around like an orchestra conductor. Misha tries her best to convey the same passion, but can't seem to lose her normal cheerful tone. The result is interesting and somewhat surreal. And what's with that attitude? I said that it's not something you should be delegating away. Are you the class representative or aren't you? Tell me the names of those 2 students. They should have your job if you can't even handle something this simple yourself. One form isn't the full extent of what I am supposed to take care of. Lily's tone is growing slightly impatient, but she's doing a good job of not letting Shizune see how unsettled she is becoming. She's playing her cards close to her chest. Shizune, on the other hand, wraps her fingers cheerfully around the edge of her glasses, knowing Lily can neither hear nor see how excited she is. Of course, you do so much, class rep. It must be so difficult being you. Lily tightens her lips at Misha's words, clearly understanding the intent behind them, even though Misha delivers them without even a hint of the sarcasm which they were meant to have. Shizune and Lily don't like each other, that much is clear, but this seems a little much. It seems like Lily's had enough and is ready to push back. I was actually just discussing the budget report before you came by. You must be very talented to have finished all your student council duties so quickly to make sure I don't forget my own. Are you accusing me of slacking off? It seems like you're confusing me with yourself. I don't think so. That would be a very difficult thing for me to do, comparing myself to you. You're right. The difference between us is like heaven and hell. And it's not hard to guess which one you might represent. The air between them ripples with the heat of their enmity. Well, not really. They can't disguise it anymore, though. Even Misha looks like she's beginning to understand the real nature of this conversation. Hee-chan, don't you slack off either. What are you talking about? Aren't you taking part in the festival, Hee-chan? You are, aren't you? Then, I hope you're going to do a lot more to make sure it goes smoothly than this person. Oops. I don't understand why Shizune is suddenly getting mad at me. Alright. Hey, I'm the new guy, remember? It's not like I could have done much, even if I wanted. That's right, you shouldn't expect a transfer student to jump right into it on his first week. Lily taking my side feels oddly comforting, so I decide to back her up too. Yeah, you're being unreasonable with us both. Excuses, excuses. Miss Class Rep has had plenty of time to deal with her report. And we repeatedly offered you a position to help with the student council work, but you refused to commit yourself to making the festival a success. Yeah, but as I said back then, I'm not sure if... I don't have time for this right now. No matter what I do, it will mean being drawn into a confrontation with Shizune, and that is what she wants. Whatever, forget it. I turned my back at them. Lily, class is going to be starting soon, so we can talk more later. I'll tell Hanako you were looking for her. I can feel Shizune freezing. Maybe this is the first time she's ever been ignored in such a blunt manner. Thank you, Hiseo. I'll leave now, then. She gives me the sweetest smile I've seen all week, and turns on her heels to make her exit. As soon as Lily walks out the door, I suddenly feel reluctant about turning to face Shizune. I can feel her eyes burning into my back, and can't bring myself to look at her. She must be furious. I keep expecting Misha to say something to alleviate the tension, but it really is wanting too much. In the end, I go back to my seat and listen to the sound of Shizune's footsteps as she marches out of the room. She doesn't return until a few minutes before class. Hanako doesn't come to the morning class at all, leaving her seat looking empty and lonely in the back of the classroom. I have to tell her that Lily was looking for her if I see her later. After the events of this morning, class is pretty boring in comparison. I turn the pages of my textbook lazily. I have a bit of catching up to do, despite trying to keep up with my studies at the hospital. I'm not feeling that enthusiastic about it. The clock at the front of the room sounds unbearably loud. Did she teacher hasn't said anything in over 7 minutes, instead opting to cover the board in rows and rows of equations taken directly from the wall. The rhythmic clashing of chalk on blackboard seemed to synchronize perfectly with the ticking of the clock. I start to copy down the equations just to pass the time, even though they're right there in the textbook. When the bell rings, I'm not in a hurry because I have nothing to do, so I stay for a while, reviewing what we covered in class today. I prefer to leave last anyway, so I don't have to deal with crowding in the hallways. I notice Shizune and Misha also stayed behind, talking to someone from another class. Shizune is sounding so fast that her hands make noises like swords cutting through the air. Maybe there is pent-up anger in there. Misha is trying desperately to keep up, but it's clear she can barely manage to even understand her. I put my head down. Whatever they're discussing looks like serious business. Shizune seems to point where her wrist cracked, signs to the point where her wrist cracked, and Misha struggles to spit it out in words now. Sometimes she trips over herself like she's dealing with tongue twisters. And then on top of that, she has to sign back anything the other girl says. Seems like a rough job. Misha looks tired, like she's about to faint. Luckily for her, their business is soon finished, and the girls sit down in their seats. Wow, I'm so tired. She's hanging her head limply on her desk, looking exhausted. I use the opportunity to reconcile with Shizune a bit, without getting roped into the student council thing again. I suspect that door is now closed for me. Festival preparations have been tough for you. Indeed, the people in the school seem to be taking the festival very seriously. Whenever I see people idling around before and after class, they're always talking about their plans for it. It's kind of neat to see everyone being so enthusiastic about it. I'm probably the only one who doesn't have something to do. Shizune scoffs at me first, as I try to decide whether to ignore or sneer at me. At the end, she starts signing without doing either. Misha perks up, looking at her hands with slightly unfocused eyes. She signs with harsh, heavy, dramatic strokes. Misha translates her signing into speech for me. She does it so well, it's almost like Shizune is actually speaking, transmitting her thoughts directly to Misha. She must have practiced it vigorously. Well, of course, we're in the student council, you know, so we're pretty busy. It's an important duty of ours to ensure the success of the festival with all our strength. We would shame ourselves in front of the past student council generations if this festival would fail. That's why there must be no flaws, I think that was encumbrances? No, nothing that might make the festival short of perfect. Shizune's passionate speech and Misa's enacting were really oddly fitting about it. Oh, hello. I look over my shoulder and see Hanako peering timidly into this classroom, most of her body hidden behind the door. Hey, playing delinquent again? Hanako blushes hard at Misa's straightforward jab, even if it was only in jest. Shizune stares at her probingly, causing Hanako to look down and start backing away to the point where only her fingers can be seen wrapped nervously around the edge of the door. Maybe she's showing her dislike of Hanako by association of her dislike of Lily. It appears so, and Hanako probably knows it as well. What is it, Hanako? Has Lily been here? Sorry, haven't seen Satoe. She came by in the morning, though. Hanako keeps looking uneasily at Shizune, who stares back at her usual studying gaze. What's she trying to do? Of course, Shizune isn't going to look away, and she's intimidating enough as it is, so I can only imagine how terrified Hanako would feel. It is a little uncomfortable watching Hanako's reaction to Shizune's normal behavior. This is what happens when two people of two different extremes meet, it seems. Do you know where she is? If she has any sense in her head, she's in her classroom working on their festival project. But who knows where that woman is loitering at? You need to find her? She was looking for you in the morning, but I guess you've missed each other? She waits a little without answering the simple question, looking awfully like she's not sure if it's proper to answer such a question. Yeah. I can come with you. If it's okay. Hanako nods fractionally, still on guard, her shoulders stiff like wood. I get the feeling that she might be more comfortable by herself after all, but it's too late to back off now. She has this really troubled expression she seems to wear almost constantly, one that makes me constantly be on guard myself. I wonder why. I kind of understand why she always seems to be so wary, or maybe more like why there could be a person like her. but I still have no idea how I should act around such a person. It's dinner time soon. Were you planning to eat with Lily? She nods slightly. So she must have been trying to get in the cafeteria. Well, there's something of a dinner crowd, just like the cafeteria is crowded during lunch. It's not as bad because dinner time is longer than lunch hour, but I can understand why Hanako could be discouraged from going in. I pick up my bag and we take our leave. Hanako skips a little to meet my initial pace, so I slow down to match her speed. It doesn't take long for us to be walking at a comfortable pace down the hallway. It almost feels like we're going for a stroll together, something I can't say I've really done before with a girl. Hanako doesn't seem to be thinking the same thing, though. Even though we are walking at the same pace, she never comes within arm's reach of me. I guess she's still a little uncomfortable around me. Given how shy she is, there doesn't seem to be much helping it, at least for now. By the time we arrive at the cafeteria, there's not much of a crowd there, but Lily is nowhere to be seen. Hanako's head sinks even lower than usual. Have you looked somewhere else already? Just at the library. I was reading. I love this track. It's so good. So she does spend the days she skips at the library, the classes she skips at the library. Ah, so not exactly a thorough search then. Well, if I'd have to guess, she'd be in her own class, like Shizune said, right? Right. With the slightest of nods, Hanako agrees with my reasoning. God, she's being so awkward. It's like I need double-layered silk gloves with padding to even begin interacting with her. Some small talk might help her become a bit more used to me. It isn't hard to tell that the silence between us is hovering on the edge of both our minds. So, you and Lily usually hang out together after class, right? Yes. I'm not quite sure what I expected from her answer, nor why I even asked the question. That much was rather obvious, after all. She doesn't seem like the type to cultivate a social circle either, so I suspect that Lily may well be her only friend. Must be a pain being in different classes, I'm guessing. She gives a sharp, almost reflexive nod. Compared to Lily's careful thought about her actions and speech, Hanako hastens to make her answers as prompt and short as possible. Lily comes by the classroom, though, even when she's busy. She has a small smile as she says it, evidently appreciating the fact that Lily goes out of her way to help her. It's pretty cute, really. There isn't any need to say more, both of us content that the discussion's reached an end. As we ascend the stairs back to the lobby, we are met by a group of students heading downstairs like a school of fish moving from one feeding area to another. They seem to be keeping mostly to themselves. Before I can notice her doing so, Hanako has moved around behind me. Hey, are you alright? Just keep going. The students pass us without much as a second glance, and Hanako takes up position to my side again as we enter the building, her momentary reprieve from anxiety all but snatched away. Even as we climb toward the third floor, she doesn't seem to relax. It isn't as if I've never known a shy person before, or even shy girls, but Hanako seems to be pretty far beyond what I'd call normal in her fear of other people. If it weren't for Lily acting as a mediator, I doubt Hanako would have even been able to walk beside me like this. She seems to completely shut down in the presence of others. The rest of the walk up to Lily's classroom continues in strained silence, while I rue her inability to socialize at all. After we make our way up the stairs, the noise coming from Lily's classroom is audible from halfway down the hallway. I wasn't expecting such a din at all. Well, I guess we found her. This wasn't hard. Did Hanako come here first, then come to me for backup, I wonder? Well, if that's true, then at least she's starting to trust me a little. That can only be a good thing. Eventually, the two of us reach the door to Class 3-2. With Hanako less than subtly positioning herself behind me, I open the door. Inside is a hive of activity, seemingly every student in the class talking at once as they work hurriedly on their separate tasks. Going by the paint cans, decorations, and banners being made, it must be for the upcoming school festival. I guess my first priority should be finding Lily. There. Finding her among the din is surprisingly easy, not the least because of her looks. With a couple of students gathered around her as she stands at the front of the class, she seems to be in charge of the preparations, or at least busy with them. Carefully negotiating a path with the various students hunched over the floor for the empty desk space, I raise a hand entirely unhappy as we finally reach the door. Hi, Lily. She perks her head as she breaks off talking to her, and smaller girl who must be her classmate, trying to listen as best she can. Sorry, he's here. I have Hanukkah too. She's pretty skittish, considering the number of people it isn't too hard to look at. Lily takes a moment's pause to assess the situation before returning to the other students once again. For the moment, just ask Mori from his advice. Kenji's busy with painting on the banners already. A quick nod and she bounces up, fingers carefully sliding along the wall's face for orientation. Wait, Kenji? That Kenji? I quickly turn about, leaning to the side to see past Hanako. Sure enough, in the corner of the room, Kenji's hunched over a sheet of cloth as he paints it. His eyes remain only inches from the brush, reminding me of how close he has to be to make out my face. Reminding me of how close he had to be to make out my face when I met him. Sorry, I still have many students with even partial eyesight, so there's that. That's right, Class 3-2 is especially for students with poor vision. Preparing for the festival must be pretty arduous. Need a hand? I could give you help if you need some. Maybe Hanukkah could too. A chance to set her mind on something would do her good, but I doubt she has the courage to ask outright. She quickly nods in confirmation afterwards, so I'm confident I made the right move. Lily gives a noticeable sigh of relief. Ah, that's good. This might actually get finished before everyone goes off to dinner then. Would you be able to help the person painting the main bed? It's a big task for you to do, but nobody else can help. Kenji? Sure. She seems surprised that I know. I can't really blame her. I take it good. Our rooms are in the dorm are right next to each other. Hard to miss each other, really. Well, it's good to see everything flowing so fast. Friend. I wonder if that's the right word to use for her. Hanako's silent during the proceeding reminds me of the reason I put her up to help him in the first place. We'll go help him. He knows what needs doing, right? That's right. Just ask if you have any problems. Coursing in assent, Hanako and I begin another trek across the classroom. Kenji sits crouched on the floor, his gaze fixed on the white calendar in front of him. Hey, Kenji. No answer. He continues dragging his paint-soaked brush along the large, half-painted kanji that's sketched on the sheet of pencil. Kenji? Huh? What? Who is it? This is the way he treats class members. It's no small wonder he's working on this alone. It's me, Hiseo, from... Right, I know that, man. What are you doing here, though? His dismissive attitude annoys me. It must be the time to get really focused on his work, hating to be disturbed by anyone until he's done, I suppose. While we talk, the sound of Hanako's... God damn it, stop doing that. The sound of Hanako's footsteps as she walks up from behind me reminds me that she's here. I was just going to help with the banner. Hanako and I, that is. Hello? Oh, hey. I guess that's okay. As soon as Hanako enters the equation, his demeanor takes a complete about-face. His sudden faux hospitality is slightly unsettling. Oh, right. Women. On second thoughts, this may not have been a great idea after all. Hanako and I grudgingly set ourselves down on the opposite side of the cloth banner to Kenji, noting the several small paint tins on the ground around it. Class 3-2 noodle stall? You guys selling noodles at the festival on Sunday? Yeah, some stalls outside. Or something. His non-committal nature sparks a fair amount of suspicion on my behalf. The task at hand comes first, though. So, how do you want to split this? We do borders while you do the text, or do you want to switch and do the borders? Text is mine. You do borders. He has surprisingly strong feelings on this topic. As I reach over to grab a brush, I know Hanako's already debating between colors to use. By the time I put brush to cloth, she's already started on a delicate pattern. Looks like my idea of taking her mind out of everyone around her worked. With a dark blue stroke, the three of us silently get to work. Not before Kenji takes advantage of Hanako's working to lean towards me and whisper conspiratorially. Hanako just wanted some help to find Lily, that's all. He apparently disapproves of my motivations. I get it. Like I misjudged you. You're infiltrating them, aren't you? Going deep undercover. I should have guessed. Letting the truth slip by would probably be better than outright lying or knowing them, in any case. Is that why you're here? Obviously. It sucks, but there's no better way to get intel than going in yourself. We gotta stick together, man. This is a harsh school, a harsh world. Yeah, very harsh. He misses my true meaning and he leans back, satisfied. I'm sympathetic to his cause. Or satisfied I'm sympathetic to his cause. I had better get down. Finished. Looks like I am too. Good job. The two of us connect up the lines of our patterns, mine being as close a copy as I could manage of hers. With a grunt, I lever myself up from the floor and look around. Aside from Hanako and myself, there's only Kenji left finishing off a sign as well. There's only Kenji left finishing off a sign, as well as Lily and a couple of students talking among themselves in the classroom. Looking at my watch, it's no surprise. It's getting pretty late. Need a hand? I offer a hand to Hanako, which she uses to get herself up. As she does, I can't help but glance at her wrist. If her scars extend even to there, just how much of her body was burned. I feel a pang of guilt about it, however, as she quickly covers her wrist with her other hand. Looks good, doesn't it? She looks surprised for a moment before noticing that I mean the banner. It does, I guess. Her smile shows that she feels a slight sense of pride in the result, just as I do. With the floor significantly neater for the decorations being placed on desks and shelves, it's much easier to get to Lily as we cross the room. We finish the banner. I guess that's all that's needed to be done? Lily gives an appreciative nod. Thank you, Hiseo, Hanako. If there's any way I can thank you? It's fine. Beat sitting in my room studying at any rate. I don't mind either. She nods before suddenly remembering one last person. Oh, is Kenji still here? Just as I open my mouth, Kenji gives the answer from the other side of the room. Yeah, just finished. He carefully slides his sign onto an empty section of shelf to dry, before quickly walking past us and out the door. See ya, man. Bye. The remaining two students say their goodbyes to Lily before taking their cue to leave as well, leaving only the three of us. Well, I guess that's everyone. I hope we don't have to do anything like that again. Working past school time? Indeed. The class's plans this year were ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. The stalls look nice, though. She's right. It shows that a lot of work's gone into them. My. I'm sure a lot of us would be glad to hear that. At least now there's not much work to do until the festival itself. It's getting pretty late. Should we go? That's probably a good idea. Are you going back to the dorms as well, Hiseo? Yeah, I guess I'll tag along. The nighttime lighting really makes the garden look quite different. Compared to the usual look of lush greenery, things are much more calm. Being that it's so late, the lack of students around probably helps. The odd one or two can be seen scurrying to and from the dorms, trying to eke the most out of their approaching curfews, but no more. All that can be heard is our footsteps, in addition to Lily's cane regularly gently tapping the ground in front of her. It's nice to finally be able to relax a bit after the mad rush during school. Without even noticing it, I let out a small yawn. Tired?
Oh, speaking of yawning, good lord.
Yeah, still getting used to the flow of things, I guess. The thing with Shizune took me kind of off guard, though. I grit my teeth a little at the candid mention of their rather public spat. That said, I do want to sort out what in the world was behind it. About that. I'm sorry about it being so public. Shizune and I go back some ways. Her voice seems slightly irritated as she remembers Shizune, obviously unwilling to discuss it any further. I glance to Hanako for her views on this, but her expression is unsurprisingly evasive and difficult to read. Either way, I guess her apologizing for it is something, even if my curiosity goes unanswered. I'll be glad once the festival is over, in any case. The change of topics welcome, clearing the thickening air quickly. I can imagine My old school's festivals were a lot more low-key than this. Yamaku stresses the idea of a school community, so the staff likes to make our festivals and such special occasions. And yet the students are the one who do the work? What an unfair world. Hanako and Lily both chuckle in agreement, savoring the fact that none of the staff are around to hear our grumbling. I suppose coming from a strict all-girls school helped me be with Yamaku. Compared to there, Yamaku is much more relaxed. That'd go away towards explaining her well-bred speech and behavior, in any case. As we come up to the dormitories, it eventually comes time to leave for our respective rooms. See you, Lily. Hanako. The two both give polite nods before setting off to the women's dorms, just next to the guys. As is to be expected of such an arrangement, there's a staff member casually patrolling around to prevent any nighttime shenanigans. Walking past him, I quickly stretch my arms and rub my neck, both quite sore after having worked on the floor for so long, before walking to my room. It feels good to actually have direction, though. After so long in the hospital, the everyday facts of studying, homework, and teachers seem almost like a blessing. I guess if things continue like this, my time at Yamaku might turn out okay. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise, and I'm going to keep it. Besides, Emmy is bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad. I am going to go get some more water. Alright, let us return. My morning alarm goes off, and I flail about uselessly for a while until I remember that I decided to give morning runs another shot. I don't know if this was my greatest idea, but I'm determined to keep going. This is about my health, after all. Sure, things haven't been great lately for me, but that hasn't made existence so intolerable that I'm not going to try everything I can to stay healthy. Besides, it's all about asserting some kind of control over this thing, right? If I can manage that, well, I can manage anything. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Once again, it would appear that I'm not alone in my run. Emmy has apparently been here for some time. It looks like she's already worked up a good sweat. Just when the hell does she come down here anyway? Oh, it's you! I'm surprised to see you again. Why's that? Well, not many people actually manage to come back for a second try. She frowns, seemingly annoyed by a passing thought. Like the rest of the track team, for instance. Still, it was only supposed to be on a volunteer basis, so it's not that big of a shock. And I guess it's pretty early in the morning. A shrug, and suddenly it appears she's forgotten what she was thinking about. The frown disappears entirely, and she seems to snap back to her previous train of thought. So, come on then. What? You're here to run again, right? Well, yes. So come on. Ooh, I found myself suddenly grabbed and yanked onto the track. Things seem to be setting on mirroring Things seem to be set on mirroring yesterday's run. That is, I seem to be struggling, while Emmy moves with an effortlessness that I find enviable. It's incredibly bothersome to be so easily worn out. I know I should be patient, working towards things gradually, but it's difficult to stay positive about this. We round the track and start on our second lap. Emmy seems to have grown impatient keeping pace with me and begins to pull away. This is where I gave out yesterday. Will I be able to do more? No, I will not. I let Emmy go with her own pace, and she doesn't show mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really putting up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm just running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? There's no need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going, and it almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Well, that's stupid. I don't have anything to prove to her. Come to think of it, I've got nothing to prove to myself either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. This was probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I can do instead of this. Getting up this early sucks anyway. There's gotta be some other way to keep healthy. Walking, maybe. Nice afternoon walks. Yeah, that sounds good. Running isn't for me. I wave to Emmy and head back to my room. I'll think of something else later. That one always makes me a little bit sad, because that is the close to Emmy's route. You can't get back into that at all. You have to go for it harder, and then now it's a little sad, but we'll get there eventually. Everybody will get to see that, don't worry. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medication bottles lined up on top of my dresser, and it makes me depressed, as usual. It's annoying. I thought I was okay. I thought I had made my peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. Reflecting on it is only going to do so much. I've done this before, for months. It seems like it's time to get over it. If I allow myself to forget that my life is definitely not going to be as long as those of others, I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it is a life in progress. That is how I'll rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills, trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head. Then I prepare to head out to class early, as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kenji coming around the hallway corner, stealthily making his way to his own room with a large bag. As he sneaks past me, soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him. Hey! He jumps at the sound of my voice. Oh, hey man, I didn't notice you there. I'm really tired. I think it's more like he didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been this early? Shopping? Nah, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I have to visit the math teacher, yeah. I figured it would be a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since he tells you in advance if you want. So then, what's in the bag? I thought I'd go shopping when I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the vast feminist conspiracy. Okay. I thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. I decide to not point out that he is not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door open, slowly, releasing a creaking sound at the end that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside his room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is pretty diligent. I never study. Oh. I just wanted to know when the next test day is. I'm still going to take it. I just need to know when. Need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I had to step out and check up on it. And why do you have to go out when you can get it on your phone? I don't carry a phone. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You just leave it at home? Nah, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones. I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you not have a phone? No phone at all? No phone? I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. But basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some kind of fear of receiving some undefined, ominous, life-threatening doom call, or I was beaten up with a phone in the past. Beaten so badly I can't remember it. Beaten in the head. Well, where else would I get beaten with a phone that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? Unexpectedly logical. I feel very depressed now. Sensing this conversation is more or less over, Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is gonna start in like 20 minutes. I already did something today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, you need some lip balm? I accidentally bought two because I thought the storage started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. Whatever, man. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to class. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to morning class. Instead, almost everyone seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces now, though their names escape me still. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the... Good lord, why can I not speak? The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I have even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overtly attentive. The first days, I was pretty high-strung in class. Matoy finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food! Everyone burst out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I meant was more that the remainder of the sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts babbling at things. Mutoy deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Hiseo! I'm going to make you a one-time only, super extra special lunch offer. Emmy's homemade lunch boxes and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties. Her overtly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose as though an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness. Puffing her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. It sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited? You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company. That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable. So how about it? You're probably really lonely and will eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding. Sure, I'll have your lunch offer. Let's go to the roof. The roof? Why the roof? Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never packs a lunch for herself. Who will? Come with me. Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles at me. Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and I forgot to eat. Huh? The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Hello. Yipes! You scared me, Rin. Wait, isn't she... Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze toward the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts only for a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited Hiseo for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered along the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs, and groups around the quadrangle and at the cabin. What is with my inability to speak proper English words today? And at the cafeteria, a few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere, a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly. I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces 1 big and 2 small lunchboxes from her bag. Come on, Hiseo, what are you waiting for? She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all 3 of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin, and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch, as promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I make it myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean that I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. helped me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How do you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together, and we've got all the limbs, get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms, so putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that, sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with the pink's color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow, I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, Hiseo, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended. Trying to take advantage of my good nature. The nerve. She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch all alone. I am suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen, as Emmy pouts. Kidding, I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's good. And the company's okay, too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. Lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away. Rin shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple books that I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I borrowed into the return slot in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Sorry, Yuko. Didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, completely absorbed in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time we leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few large stretches to try to stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town hall. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seemed to catch her attention without a word having to be said. Hi, Lily. She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does. You say it? Yep, that's me. Seem to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she actually remembered is a pleasant surprise. Good evening. What brings you here? Once again, she gives a small, polite bow, and once again, I reply in kind before realizing that I need to do something. Just going into town. You? My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, eh? I usually go shopping on Fridays. She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost. That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me. Not lost, I'm worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs with one another. It's kind of surprising that Hanako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in her book. She lets out a small sigh of relief. Thank you. She has a habit of doing that. Avid reader. Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit. Although she probably didn't intend it, and I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanted to bring it up, I remained silent as we kindly continue to walk down the quiet road. Tackle. The road bereft of cars, and the students have gotten increasingly far behind us. The quiet rustling of leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I can control it. Tired? Yeah, been running ragged these past few days. That's an understatement, to be sure. Transferring into a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in the spin right now, and you've been plopped right in the middle of things. For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give her full thoughts. I guess Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formalities surrounding everything, the isolation around it, not to mention the most obvious differences. It's kind of a whole different mindset. I suppose I'll get used to it, though, in time. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. Feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she shepherded, along with class 32 and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest, in any case. Looking on the bright side, one could see there's a chance for new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things. I suppose. I guess that's a good take on it. Walking on down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speaks about something else. So, where in town were you going? That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I'd intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with the sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm going to have to ask her for directions. Again. I was just going to get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way. Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself. Looks like I'll be in your care again then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My pace is carefully slowed to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower. Not that it's without reason. After what couldn't be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town really is pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter. Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here. It takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. But that said, I can't shake the feeling she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grab 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. She lays on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, if she doesn't use her cane... Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff of my uniform in her slender fingers. Is this alright? Sure. I have no reason not to accept it. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it is out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamako is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily to find out what she needs. I grab it along with what I'm looking for and put our items into their respective baskets. I guess this is the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lily? No, this should be everything. Off we go then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky while holding both of our bags. For a moment, I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually, she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me in mine too. You tired as well? The festival preparations have been complete chaos. Shune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help me either. Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right? I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain. I guess the festival preparations must be taking their toll on the both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way toward us, silhouetted by the street lamps. For a second, I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or should I say she, gets closer, I recognize her quickly. Rin? What are you doing out here so late? Rin? Lily perks her head, looking like she's trying to focus on listening more keenly. It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interpret the scene for her. It's Rin Tezuka, I think was her last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of a composed smile and a painful cringe. Ah, I understand. I guess Lily knows Rin, too. Rin turns to look at us, looking terribly out of it. I'm not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. She looks like a zombie, or a statue. The statue of a zombie. But slowly, some symptoms of understanding seem to lighten her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks once, very thoroughly. Hello. There's an awkward pause, everyone waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late? I was wondering about that myself, too, just now. Some people asked that just before. I assumed they were wondering the same. I didn't know. They didn't know either. I asked. That's why I'm wondering. So that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without the murder. They were going that way. She turns facing to her right in order to demonstrate the direction the other people went, as if that was it. Then rotates back like a mechanical puppet in one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a For a person who gives an impression of being a quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need a lot to be said. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lily, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are, in fact, just scared that any response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Rin at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face. Seems to be that kind of person, always so relaxed. As if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her elephant, throwing... Jesus. As if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of blood. Do you have amnesia? I don't recall you having anything of the sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passerby were probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way you're standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. I ponder for a while whether I should chase this angle further, or give up for the sake of my insanity. I decided on that. It seemed that most of the time, it's better to not read too deeply into what Rin is babbling. Talking with Rin is like playing chess with a supercomputer who does seemingly completely random moves as if to mock everything you know about chess. It's like that, except with human interaction. And even if I win, it feels like losing. Damn, it's just like Kenji said. Even when I win, I lose. Is this the power of the girls of Yamaku? I push the thought aside. It's too dangerous to consider further. It's probably just Kenji's anti-female propaganda getting to me in a moment of weakness. Yeah, maybe taking another pose might have worked. So anyway, you have no idea what you're doing yet? She frowns, looking extremely displeased at my question, its consequences, or the answer she's about to give. I do have some idea. I can't really tell what kind of an idea. That sounds like progress, at least. Lily sounds as if she spotted an opening for some kind of discernibly normal conversation. I can't say I share her optimism. Yes, there is. Definitely. The rest will come later. I'm sure of it. I always have reasons. The ensuing silence kills Lily's hopes all too visibly. That didn't last long. Rin's, as far as I can tell, unbased assurances aside, what should be done? We could just leave her to her own devices, whatever those are. But it's late, and I don't think we'll be getting any thanks if Rin is found standing here in the middle of the night. Which she probably will, unless she manages to remember what she was doing here in the first place. As for me trying to guess what might have been going on in her mind when she decided to embark on this adventure, the chances seem to be on par with winning the lottery. Several times in a row. Lily is oddly quiet too. I'd appreciate some support from the sidelines here, especially if she's more familiar with Rin than I am. But it can't be helped. It seems her familiarity with Rin is exactly why she's staying subdued. So, I assume you were going somewhere, not coming back to the school. Any idea where? Her eyes widen in shock and she jolts back in a somewhat artificial way, making it seem like an act rehearsed for situations like this. Are you a mind reader? Is that your disability? How unique. No, what? Why would you think that? You knew what I was doing. It was just an educated guess. We walked the same street the other direction just before to get to the store. If you were going to school, we would have met you on the way. Oh. She looks a little disappointed. Like Kenji, Rin appears quick to jump to completely irrational conclusions. Maybe it's something in the water here. I make a mental note to stock up on soft drinks. You know, that is the second time this week that someone has asked if I was a mind reader. Do I really give off that impression? Rin shrugs her shoulders, which is all the answer I get. You know, maybe you should come with us back to the school. Lily interjects just as I'm about to further debunk my alleged mind reading capabilities. She sounds rather concerned, the paper-thin smile on her face badly disguising the effect. Maybe she came to the same conclusion I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, there's no point staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay. We start towards the school again, having wasted way more time than necessary with this episode. Rin walks along the edge of the sidewalk in her rhythmic way, looking like a mix of sleepwalker and rope dancer, while Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping at the ground with her cane. Tap, step, step, tap, tap, step, step, step. Apart from that and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet. A quite apart from the relaxing one in town at that. So how's the mural going? We are going to get bad luck. Never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. Tap, step, tap, step. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's politeness feels out of place for the first time. Step, step, step. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep, going uphill. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there. I can see the gates already. More than that, though, I notice that Lily's hand slightly tightens on my shoulder. Interpreting it as a gesture that she wants to ask something, I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? I resist the urge to say, aside from her traveling companion, but only just. For a moment, she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything alright? Alright? How do you mean? The fact that I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just, you seem unusually tired, I guess. Now that she brings it up, I notice that my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has really done a job on me. Lily noticed it all too quickly. It's alright. I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Oh. Is it something that is related to you being transferred here? I mean... She cuts herself off rather abruptly, maybe realizing she was being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are rather sharp, though. While I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie to her about it. If it's Lily, I don't think I might. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said you look fairly healthy, so I naturally thought... Lily doesn't finish her sentence again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising she's this flustered, considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness. She must know that not all share her own comfort about such things. No, it's okay. I have a pretty... I guess the way to put it would be messed up heart. Arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it, and spent most of the spring in a hospital. Ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though, only seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given I have the exact same reaction. To my surprise, in a moment's time, her face shows that she comes to some sort of realization. Wait, so the time when Emmy and you collided in the hallway? I grimaced slightly. Her ability to connect the dots quite so fast is unexpected. Yeah, I guess I'm a textbook example of why those rules about running in the corridors exist. That was a lot more dry than I'd intended. Lily visibly shies away from continuing the topic. Well, I do want to assuage her concern. I really don't want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. God damn it, stop hitting right click. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She'd been so quiet for almost all of the walk back that I'd all but forgotten she was here. It's Friday, isn't it? Yes, Friday, the 8th of June. This is bad. Bad? Why? I think I'm going to go in a fetal position and throw up. Possibly in reverse order. Is something wrong? No, nothing is wrong. It's Friday, and nothing is wrong yet. This mural is going to be finished by Sunday, so everything is alright. Do you have any drugs? Or a time machine? This is not good. Not good. So she's behind her schedule. Recalling Shizune's exasperation of Rin's carefree attitude several days ago, I don't know what to think. She's left herself open for a told you so, unless she can pull off whatever she needs to pull off by some other way. Rin keeps staring at her mural, looking as mortified as she can. Leave me. I'm going to need to work for a living. I glance at Lily, expecting her to share an incredulous look at me as I roll my eyes, but then I realize she's not one to do that kind of thing. Leave me. We do, of course, not wanting to aggravate her any more than she already is. There is a churning bad feeling in my gut. Rin sure has a knack of making people feel worried about her. She seems like a person who should never be left alone. Maybe we should call someone? She sounded like she was going into shock or something. I'm sure she will be just fine. She's just, how to say... Lily cocks her head a little, trying to find a polite way of calling Rin crazy without calling her crazy. Unique? Yes, a very unique person. I guess you could say that. She giggles at the notion melodiously, nodding in agreement. Sorry about leaving you stranded as you talked to her. I don't really understand her, so I keep my distance. So my guess was right. Lily offers a slight apologetic smile as if she was sorry that her own shortcomings have prevented her from becoming closer to Rin. I'm not one to blame her, at all. Lily let slip a long breath, probably a disguised yawn. I imagine she's as exhausted by all this as I am. I'd better leave now and give these to Hanako. Thank you for the company, Hiseo. She smiles very sweetly at me. It feels different than normal, despite the fact that she seems to be smiling so often. I can't put my finger on what the difference is. It's just different. Relaxed, I'd say, but that's probably just relief of getting rid of Rin, maybe. Yeah, good night. Say hi to Hanako for me. I will. Good night. Alright, with that, since I don't want to go through an entire another day, I think I will end it there. Not exactly 2 hours, but it's pretty late. I'm kind of tired. And yeah, another day would probably take another 45 minutes. So, with all that, thank you all for coming. Please follow me on Twitter at Aria of the Star. Follow me on YouTube for uploaded VODs at Aria of the Star. And have a great rest of your night or morning. Thank you very much.